Destiny Generation.
You gotta go out.
Know your faith.
You gotta know it to share it.
We have to let everyone know.
Let me tell you about it.
Share the faith.
Don't you know that my faith is important to me?
It's our destiny.
We are the Destiny Generation.
Let me tell you a story. It's a true story. How many of you here listen to the gospel on Sundays? Ah, okay. Let's see how smart you are. And this happened. And I was called a liar from the pulpit by a parishioner. They always used to say, and they still do, you know, you go out of church at the end of Mass and, oh, there's a great homily, Father, a great homily, great homily. So I thought, one of these days I'm going to ask, well, what did I say? Well, I had a different idea. They said they always liked him. So what I decided to do was I gave my homily, and right before the end of the final blessing at Mass, I said, okay, now we're going to have a special homily next week, and I want you to go home. Will you do it? Will you do what I ask you? They all raised their hand. Yeah. I want you to go home and read the 23rd chapter of the Gospel of John. Did you understand that? Yes. Go home and read the 23rd chapter of the Gospel of John. Okay. The week went by. Come time for the homily, and I was getting ready to start, and I said, just a second. How many of you went home with the intention of doing what I asked you to do? 100%. Raise their hand. Okay. Then I said, okay, how many of you went home with the intention and read the 23rd Gospel of the Gospel of John chapter? About 50% raised their hand. I said, okay, how many of you went home with the intention of reading the 23rd chapter but didn't get around to it? Another 10 or 15%. And then I asked, how many of you forgot about it and didn't care? And some of them raised their hand. I said, okay. Then I said, well, folks, I'll tell you what, you're all a bunch of liars. And they looked at me. How can you stand here, Father, from the pulpit and call us liars? One guy said, yeah, Father, how can you call us liars? I said, sir, did you read it? Yeah, you saw me raise my hand. I said, well, I got news for you. You're a liar. Because the Gospel of John stops with the 22nd chapter. Ooh. It was, you could hear a mouse walk along the floor at that time. But anyway, I'm glad to be here. Rachel, some of the alumni corps have heard my story, so they asked me to share it with you. I wasn't born. I didn't come out of the womb with a collar on. You know what I'm saying? I had a good time. I had a good life. Went to the seminary. Went through 2 years of high school seminary back in those days. Yeah, you can look at, yeah, he's older than he looks, isn't he? Yeah, I know. But I hadn't seen the other side of life, so I left under good standing. So I went to a Catholic high school, and in the process of being in a Catholic high school, I met a young girl. And junior and senior year, I was in the Catholic high school, graduated. I wanted to take her to the prom, but I had led in the South End. And by the time I got around and courage to ask her to go to our senior prom, a young junior of all, asked my girlfriend to go to the prom. So what did I do now? So I went to my homeroom nun, and sister said, well, Jim, you know the family real well. Why don't you ask her sister? So I asked her sister to the prom. So we all went and had a good time. Make a long story short, her sister's now married to the guy that took my girlfriend to the prom. Oh, it gets better yet, let me tell you. So, home free. So I was fortunate. I did a lot with drafting in high school. Mechanical art, they used to call it then. I don't know what they call it now. And then I graduated and went to St. Louis University for a year or two and got into the whole area of, writing of different blueprinting, that kind of thing. And I got me a job at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft. Now, I've been a priest 39 years, so we're going back. We're talking 1966, 67, 68. I'm 69 if you're adding it up. I'm going to be in December. I know I look 25, right, girls? Huh? Come on, yeah. But hey, there you go. You're on my team, all right. But what happened was, here it is, 1967. I got pulled off of what was called the forward fuselage. In those days, they were building the F-104 Phantom jet fighters at McDonnell Douglas in St. Louis. That's my hometown, by the way. And I got pulled into a new program, and they asked me if I'd be a part of it. And what it was, you you've heard of the Gemini space capsule project. That's some years ago. But all I had to do was go in there and work in what they call the White Room. And the reason they call it a White Room, because it was dust-free. I'd go to work in the morning, just like you're dressed now. And then I'd go into the locker room, take off all those clothes, and put on, I'd look like a baker. White hat, white gloves, everything. Shoes, socks. And then I opened this door, and just big air was pushed at me from all sides. They call it the cleansing room. And you walk through to the other side, and the door closed, and of course the air went off. And I was in the White Room. It's a dust-free room is what it was. And all I had to do was go in there and do my thing with the radar system. So I was doing my thing, and in the process, I had my girlfriend, and we were engaged to be married. Got engaged to be married. My senior high school sweetheart, Maggie Wilholter is her name. She's still a very good friend. It gets better, though, girls. But in the whole process, I was called out one day from that White Room to drill just 4 holes is all I had to do. Call back to the jet fighter section of it and drill these 4 holes. But they were precision holes. And with my background, that's what I had to do it. And I got the die all set up, and to this day, I cannot tell you whether those holes got drilled or not. Because I picked up the drill in my hand, and something told me, says, Wasser, this is not your life. I'm very serious. This is not your life. Picture this. 1967. Worked one Christmas day and brought home $800 in 67. At Christmas Day, brought home 800. Of that, I got about 600 after Uncle Sam got his own Christmas present out of it. But at 67, I was able, having saved up in the bank, to go buy a brand new 1967 Corvette Stingray olive green. Paid cash for it. Well, I had everything going for me, gang. I really did. Then what do I do? So something told me this is not my life, and so I went up and talked to the priest at Holy Family. And I said, Father, I prayed over this for a month and a half. I got this young lady that I really love deeply, but yet the Lord is saying she's going to have to take second place. And I'd like to come back and be a priest. And he said, well, Jim, he said, the door swings both ways. You left on good standing, and you're welcome back. So can you be here by September? I said, yeah, well, this is the first week of August. So I rang Maggie up on the telephone and said, hey, dear, I'd like to talk to you. Oh, she said, yeah, I want to talk to you too, and let's go out to dinner. I said, okay, we'll go to our favorite restaurant. So we went to our favorite restaurant. We had dinner, and we ordered a bottle of wine just to, I was hoping to make it easier to drop the bomb, I mean, this girl had an engagement ring, folks. And I said, well, Mag, sweetheart, I got something I got to tell you. And I prayed over it a month. She said, well, I want to talk to you about something. And I said, well, you're the woman. You go first. She said, Jim, I love you deeply. And we always will love each other. But it'll be as brother and sister because I've decided I want to be a nun. And I said, thank you, Jesus. But anyway, I am proud and happy to say she's still a very good friend of mine. She became a medical doctor. She's an emergency room specialist in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And her brothers and sisters still live in St. Louis. And when I'm home around Christmas or Thanksgiving, they all invite me over. And if she's in town, we all have family dinner together. So you'd be surprised what the Lord can do with you young people. I'm very serious about that. I had chance before that. I left out a part, which I know maybe a lot of the guys would think I'm crazy. God rest my father's soul. My mother said if myself and my 3 brothers, I have 1 younger and 2 older. I'm the 3rd oldest, but between the 2nd and the 3rd, there's 15 years between us. And they're all dead except my younger brother. But each one of us each one of us had the chance, as they say, at the Golden Apple. Each one of us had a chance to be Major League Baseball players. I was a pitcher. My younger brother was a pitcher. And I'm not trying to press you with names, but we're going back a few years. Some of you probably heard of Whitey Herzog. Anybody know Whitey Herzog? Used to coach for the Los Angeles? Yeah. Jerry Royce used to pitch. Okay. There's Red Shandies, and that's going back a long time. But anyway, the point of it is we had the chance, and we all decided to turn it down. And that's why I'm here. I'm still pitching. I'm throwing curveballs, a lot of them today, but I throw them at the devil. And you know what? Let me tell you something. I used to say, and my dad said, "Why in the world? You're cussing." I said, "Dad, you didn't tell me it was a cussing to tell the devil to go to hell?" And he had no answer for it. And I told that from the pulpit. No, that's true. There's only one person or spirit that you can tell to go to hell, and that's the devil, because that's where he belongs. Let's face it, we don't have time for him. We don't have time for him. He's going to hit you. I love Kevin, the way he put it this morning. The iPod, the earphones, and all that, they're all buzzing around here. Yeah, I know, we're human. They're not bad, but be careful. Don't let them become your God, that you devote most of your time to your earphones and all this other thing. I haven't got the statistics, but I know it's very high. The number of young people who've lost their life in an automobile accident, instead of pulling over to the curb, they just kept talking. And they talked and talked and talked, and they walked themselves hopefully into heaven and not hell. They're good apparatus to have, but use them prudently, please. All of you here, what's the youngest age, roughly? 15, up to where you're growing whiskers, right? Whatever. But you're very special. Each one of us has a calling, a vocal. Now, I'm not here saying that each one of you now be a priest, or each one of you girls give up your engagement in the future to be a nun. But you know what? Or be a pilot, or be a doctor. But you know what? You might have to make that decision someday. Each one of us have first thing they taught us in theology was you have a fundamental option. And in layman's terms, fundamental option is that all through life, we either opt for God or we turn away and take the opposite option, away from God. We're going to do what we're called to do in our faith, follow the commandments, the sacraments, follow the church's teachings, or we're going to say, "Oh, well, that's nice, but it's not my bag of tea." I firmly believe, and people look at me and say, God has never sent anybody to hell. We got two great gifts when we were born. Excuse me if I don't look over here enough. I don't mean to forget you. We got two great gifts when we were born. You know what they are? Anybody? Don't be afraid. I won't bite you. I'll just give you a babe. No, you're wrong. Take a guess. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there we go. You got one of them right. What's the first one? The second one is free will. But in order to have the free will, you have to first be what? Born. Life. Two great gifts. Life and free will. And from the age of reason, you start opting for or against. You're able to make your own decisions. You might be 15, and I'm not knocking you, gang, seriously. But some of you might be thinking like you know all the answers. I got news for you. You don't. You don't. You might not agree with mom or dad, or if you're a single-parent family, you might not agree. But give them a little slack. They've got more years. Wine, they're like wine, hopefully. The older they get, the better it tastes. It's called wisdom. But you know what? You want to tell your folks I said this, that's up to you. That's okay. But you know what? They're not always right. And I tell them that. Because what they got to do and you got to do to them is I don't want you to hear a thing they say. Understand what I'm saying now, or I'm going to come after with a knife today. But what they have to do with you and you have to do with them, see, listen. You can hear the air condition, right? You can't listen to it because listening involves communication. They have to listen to you. You have to listen to them. That doesn't mean you'll always agree. If you always agreed, then look out. The devil's in the household. He's waiting for his chance to bounce on you. We're all good. God never, as we say in Spanish, no cree basura. He doesn't create garbage. He only creates goodness. Each one of you are priceless. You really are. Just for being who you are. Be proud of who you are. So someday down the line, you might be thinking of getting married at 16 or right out of high school. Well, maybe it's meant to be. I don't know. But please, take your time. Guys, girls, be an apostle like Peter. There's many fish in the sea. Go fishing for a while, you know. And you got so much on your shoulders today. I really mean it. I pray for you. You'll have all the opportunities like I did. Of course, I didn't take the baseball. Like I said, I'm sitting here talking to you. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I've had tremendous amount of opportunities. I've had a good life. I've had many crosses. There's been many Good Fridays in my life before Easter Sunday. If you heard about there was an accident on the property before you got here, I'm the result of it. My car, my car tried to kill me. I was up at the lodge, up at the park, playing cards with some people that have stayed in between. And keep in mind, my cell phone doesn't work up there. Nor does Mrs. Timmons and John's. Their cell phone doesn't work up there. So I was up playing hearts with them. At 10:30 at night last Tuesday, I drove back as you're going to come out of the park, the gate was closed. So I put my car in park. And I have an artificial knee. There's nothing wrong with this one now. This is good. No problem. And I was taught in therapy how to get out of the car. And I started the process. I checked. It was in park. I swung my good leg, as I call it now, outside on the ground. And I had the seat all the way back, which they taught me, and reach all the way around with my right hand on the top of the steering wheel. And then I swing my body with my arm out like that. And guess what? This leg, of course, was still in the car trying to push up. And I come around, and my arm hit the gear shift. And as you know, right below park is what? Reverse. It went in reverse, and I'm going like this, and it just pulled me right out of the car and drug me for 10 feet. And my back is looking pretty good right now. The rest of me here is pretty tore up. But I went under the door. The door drugged me for 10 feet, and then it finally let me go. But if I'd have went the other way, I wouldn't be here probably. I'd be under the ground by now. And here I lay out there at 10:30 at night. Nobody's going to hear me to cry for help. I mean, nobody. So I never lost consciousness. But there I laid. In my car, well, I was able to look back, and there it was, plowed into the woods, took the driver's side, my door side, took it all the way off, tore it up pretty good. And all there is the light shining, and I could still hear the engine running in reverse as it was digging itself into the ground. And I said, what am I going to do? Here I'm laying here. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not trying to impress you, but I just made an act of contrition and said, Lord, if you want me to do more ministry, you're going to have to help me out, because nobody's going to hear me. My cell phone doesn't work. Mary's doesn't work. And I called upon Father Mario. Some of you might have been here on the 5th last week. last year, but he was supposed to be here for the 5th, but he died a month ago. And so I asked Father Mario, I said, well, Mario, you're up there with the Lord. You guys make a decision. Am I supposed to stay here or am I coming home? And I reached down to my blue jeans and my cell phone was there. I said, well, I got to at least pray. And I left it in their hands. And I told the Blessed Mother, I said, Mom, I call her Mom, help me out. There's nothing I can physically do, but I do trust you. And then I looked at it and I couldn't see it. I said, well, I need my glasses. And where were my glasses? Like from here to the curb right there. So I had to crawl on my back on the asphalt as best I didn't want to try to sit up because I didn't know if I had any punctured lungs or anything. So, make a longer story short, I got to my glasses, put them on. I keyed up the number, and Mary answered immediately. So I said, Mary, I need help. What's wrong? She said, I'm laying out here in the driveway. She said, you're what? I said, yeah, I'm laying out here by the gate. I had an accident. The car tried to kill me. So she come out there, and they got me to the hospital, and here I am. But it's only the will of God. You know, Father Kevin mentioned this morning, we talk about death a lot. Death is, like Scripture says, it comes like a thief in the night. Can any of you here raise your hand and say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you'll live to see banner night? We don't know. I've anointed people in churches in the middle of Mass, stop Mass, to anoint someone so they could go home to heaven. We don't know. But see, we make our faith so difficult. The difficulty comes in when we try and we listen more in our fundamental options, when we listen to more the devil. The Lord said, all you have to do is call me. I'm here. I'm here with you. You know, it's like my good friend George. She's smiling. George woke up. He's single. Lives in his parents' home. They've been dead for a number of years. And he's laying there about 8 o'clock in the morning, and George is laying there half in the stupor for wanting to wake up. And George says, or rather, this voice says, George, good morning. He looks, who's here? Hi, George, it's me. Who are you? It's me, it's God. And he pinched himself. He goes, ooh. You don't have to do that, George. That hurt. I know it. You're not dreaming. You're awake. Well, Lord, is this the moment? Am I dead? He says, no. I said, I just want you to do something for me. Excuse me. And he says, well, okay. What do you want me to do, Lord? He said, well, George, I want you to go out in your front yard. There's a rock out there, weighs about 1,000 pounds. I want you to go out there and push that rock. What? He said, yeah, I want you to go out there and push that rock. You trust me? Well, yeah, Lord, I trust you. Okay. And then God said to George, have a good day. So George said, I had to be dreaming. But he said, I'm going to go up and look anyway. Sure enough, there's this rock right out there in the middle of his yard, just like God told him. Well, what happened was George had breakfast, went in there, and decided to try to go out and move the rock. He couldn't move that rock a 16th of an inch. It weighed 1,000 pounds. There's no way he's going to move it. But he trusted. He said, well, God's going to help me move it. So he kept it up for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, mind you. Could you do that for 2 weeks? And then he started to turn in on himself. He got angry with himself. And when he got angry with himself, he got angry with everybody else that he come in contact with. Then he started to stop praying. And as he stopped praying, which meant his spirituality went downhill, he stopped communicating with God. And he got to the point of almost despair. He says, well, I sure wish God was here because I'm really having a problem right now. And with that, God says, hi, George, I'm here. You're here? Yes, George, I'm here. I've never left you. Well, Lord, I tried to move that rock. I tried to do it. You asked me to go out there and move the rock. And with that, the the Lord appeared. His son appeared and said, George, hi, it's me, Jesus. I've been with my Father, all the time. And I heard him tell you, or rather you interpreted that he said, Jesus told me to go out there and move the rock. And Jesus smiled at him. He said, no, George, that's not what my Father asked you to do. My Father asked you to go out there and push the rock. Because you see, George, you're a human being. I'm God, the Son of God. You could never move that rock. I'm the only one that can move that rock. And he said, oh, by the way, George, you're going to be dead in 2 hours. George was horrified. He said, no, don't panic. Don't panic. It's true, you're going to be dead in 2 hours. But you're going to be with me. I'm going to be with you. But Lord, I didn't move the rock. No, but you did do what my Father asked you to do. You went out there and you tried to push the rock. And what that said to my Father is that you trust him. Because with your trust, George, as you continue on with your life, it's only 2 hours long. But if you were to live longer, you're pushing, just like that rock would be the people that you love. You could never move the people that you love. You young people, you can't move anybody. But you know what? With God's help, you can. Because just like George, in your life right now, with your faith at the level that it's at, it should be growing stronger. God is calling you in your life, in your ministry, where you are right now. He wants you to be pushers. You push your family. You push your brothers, your sisters, your friends, and push on your enemies a little bit. Because if you do that, and if you really believe from here, God will move them. That's all he's asking you to do, is push forward in life with the right intentions. I have a little card that I used to give out to penitents, and I don't have it with me, but I made it into 8.5 by 11. And it says, on the top of the card is a red line, and so I put my own name on top of it, and I blew it up, and I have it in a picture frame sitting on my desk whenever the devil attacks me. Oh yeah, I'm not perfect either. When the devil attacks me or I get down and I say, oh man, how am I going to get through the rest? I look at that photo. It's right there. And it says, Father Jim. Underneath is the saying, trust me. I've got everything under control, Jesus. And you know, young people, you're adults. You're not children. But some of you you're in the what we call the twilight age. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't, right? Huh? Is that true? You don't believe that? How many believe that? Raise your hand. Don't be afraid. Yeah, you're human. You make mistakes. Parents make mistakes. Friends make mistakes. School teachers make mistakes. All these kinds of things. I love it when young people, college kids come, oh, Father, pray that I passed the test. Did you study? Well, I did last night. Well, if you got an F, you got an F. I can't change that. The Holy Spirit ain't going to change that. It's because you didn't push. You didn't follow your call. That's all I'm here to do, is ask you to follow your call, whatever it may be. If you're to be priests, brothers, religious sisters, that's fine. Now, old Maggie, she's both. She's a nun and a medical doctor. There's a lot of fields, education-wise, for religious. A lot of the Sisters of Mercy are lawyers. Not all lawyers are bad. I have a lot of lawyer friends, so. But you know what? You got a life ahead of you. Hopefully, a long life. But remember, you don't know when your days are up. If God called you now, it would be hard on your parents and family, your brothers, your sisters, I'm sure. But it would be your time. You wouldn't suffer anymore. They would suffer emotionally, and it would be very traumatic for them. But you would be in eternal life. If that's where your soul is headed right now. That's the most important part. Love one another as I have loved you. That's the whole Bible. From Genesis to Revelations. Love one another as I have loved you. Let me tell you one last story. I met with a guy, well, I met with the family. This has been about 14 years ago, who shot and killed a couple's son. They were friends at first, but they got into a big argument, and he just went beyond himself and shot him to death, put in prison for life. Didn't get the death penalty. The family, the mother and father, come and talk to me, and I had been already talking to the prisoner, and they said, Father, it's difficult. It's been 6 years now, and we still have a lot of hate in us for that man. He killed our son. Well, make a long story short, 4 more years went by, talking with the, as they would in prison say, the killer, and with the family. And I told them, the thing that's going to save you, both of you, is your faith. It's called prayer. You can't do it alone. You can't push the rocks in your life alone, but God will help you push and actually move them. And do you know what happened? 5 years after that, they had and invited that man, and they let him out of prison for 1 day with a guard, and they had him over for Thanksgiving dinner. They forgave him. Could you do that? All through the power of prayer. Like I say, I'm lucky to be sitting here. I just put it in the hands of the good Lord and trusted. And here I am. You're listening to me. But I could be 6 feet under. But it wasn't meant to be. So all I want you to be is be who you are. And excuse it, be damn good at who you are. If your name is Judy, David, Michael, Jose, be that person. Be that person. Follow your heart, not just the old mind, because the mind can be the devil's workshop. That's an old expression from years ago, my era. I'm not Methuselah yet, but I'm getting there. But follow your heart and put your mind with it together. There's nothing you can't succeed in if you do it with the power of prayer in your life. And some of your college classmates or high school classmates might call you sissies. The parish that I was at, I've got seniors in college, juniors in college, guys and gals in Texas. They serve Mass. And when they go to school, some of their so-called friends make fun of them. They don't listen to them. That don't stop them. What's more important, your material life or your spiritual life? The spiritual life is the Yahweh. In English, that means the key. Your spiritual life is the key to the kingdom. Just like St. Peter received the keys to the kingdom, that's your key to eternal life that opens the gates of salvation for you. One day, God is going to call you. Is it going to be maybe the person who asked you to give them 5 minutes of your life in school, and you said, oh, I'm sorry right now, I got to take it, I don't have time for you. Or maybe you walk in the streets and then maybe walk through a slum area or something, and hey, could you help me out? Can you give me a cup of coffee? I'm not asking for a whole meal, just a cup of coffee because it's cold out, and you pass them by. Wouldn't it be sad? Wouldn't it be sad at whatever age you are that you die and you go up to heaven and you ring the doorbell. Ding dong. St. Peter comes to the gate. And he said, oh, Molly. I know there's a few Mollys. I just pulled the name out, so Don't tell Molly I used her name here. Okay. Oh, Molly, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, Lord. I'm here to come in. I prayed hard. I did all your works. Well, Molly, but when the Lord actually showed himself, not as Jesus, and she said he did everything he asked. And then he changed his appearance. And he says, Molly, do you recognize me now? I'm the old man, remember, that you didn't have time for? I'm the young woman who asked you to give me 5 minutes of your life and you had a test to take? Molly, you didn't know me then. I don't know you now. So you can go to hell. Think about it, folks. Because remember, Jesus, the Father, Son, and the Spirit, gives us all the tools we need in faith to gain eternal life. It's there for our taking. You heard me, our taking. It's God's free gift to us. The only thing that's going to screw us up with it is the free will. If we decide that option, as we go through life, we spend most of our time not thinking about what we should be doing with our faith and our sacraments and etc., and doing what we decide to do. And we listen to our electric God, the computer, iPhones, all kinds of things. I like music. I have a computer too. But what do we use it for? You want to get pornography quick? All you got to do is push the right button, and there it is. Hello, this is Satan's family right here. You want to be a part? Oh, don't listen to them Catholics. Oh, jeez, don't listen to this. I'll give you a situation. And it took me almost a month and a half to get a professional to come into my computer. Father Mario, who died, he has a niece, and her name is Adriana. Very good spiritual family, good Catholic family. She was at the funeral, and I became her spiritual director and all this and that and the other thing. So one day I have her email address. She has mine and phone number and all this stuff. First thing you know, I get on the internet, and on the internet comes up Adriana. And it says, "Hi, Guy." Spelled the name the same way. I said, I wonder what Adriana's got to tell me. Well, I'm a computer idiot. In fact, Dr. Timmons there's a book for computer idiots, and he's getting me one. Well, I know turn it on, turn it off, and hit this and that. And so I hit Adriana, hi, Guy, and it come up, and you know what happens once you open it? You're there. I hit open it up. I see what Adriana says. Whoa! This is not the Adriana I knew. It was some pornographic email letter company. So I got out of it right away, and I called her. Did you send me an email? No. And I looked at this Adriana's email address, and it really didn't have anything on it. It just said Adriana. So it's one of these worldwide pornographic things. That's all I can know. So I called my computer man right away, and it took him a month and a half. We had to reprogram the whole computer to get rid of her. But all it was is, the devil. So it doesn't come up anymore, praise God. But be careful, young people. They're out there. They come to you the devil travels under many disguises, eh? I see some smiling faces. You know what I'm talking about, yeah. You want to get it cleaned up? Confessions are here. Pray for me, and I definitely am praying for you. Do I have time for a couple of questions? Anybody? Don't be afraid. A lot of guys ask me about baseball. No, I've had a good life with it, and like I said, I wouldn't turn it around. One of my close friends is again, I'm not here to impress you, but he's very close. We grew up in the same parish as Jerry Royce. Jerry used to pitch for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and whenever He travels with the Dodgers, and whenever he comes to St. Louis in the summertime, and I'm in St. Louis, he gets me free tickets. Yes, sir. You mean the pitching speed? My speed was 89 miles an hour. A short guy, and I wasn't quite this heavy. My younger brother, the one that's still alive, Jerry, was also a pitcher. Like I say, we all had our chances, but we all turned them down. Jerry's pitch was 100 miles an hour, and he's about a foot and a half taller than me. And I graduated in 63. He graduated in 65, and they were all over him. But all four of us had a chance. My opportunities was with the Cardinals, the Boston Red Sox, Chicago Cubs, and the New York Yankees. And here I am. I don't hate a minute of it. I'd be glad to, whatever the Lord said, that's what I'm doing. And, Jerry, what's he doing? He's married. He would have had 10 children. 3 of them passed away at birth. So he has 7 kids. It's interesting with Jerry that I meant to tell you, the day I was laying, Tuesday night, my brother Jerry's been battling terminal cancer, and I do mean terminal cancer, for 3 years. They took a test, and he was eligible for the treatment. But see, that treatment, it's 40-60. 40% chance you live, 60% chance you don't make it. So him and Margie discussed it. They've had a good life. Jerry's going to be 65. And they said, well, let's try it. And because a very faith-filled family like yourselves. Well, over the 3 years, he got down to where if you wanted to go into the room, you had to be dressed like a surgeon because he had no immune system left. That's what they do. They take your system all the way down that you have no immune system. You're virtually anything. Somebody come in and sneezed in the room, it could kill you. Because he had nothing to fight off, ward off any kind of, bacteria. So he made it through that. And they took the exam about 8 months ago, and of the 5 tumors he had in his lower back, 3 of them were completely gone. So the doctors were surprised that he did that they went that fast. And then he still had 2. But when they did the test at that time, they were glowing like gold, just like glow. And it surprised him. And they said, well, Jerry, we don't want to take that test again, but we want to hit you on the deepest chemotherapy we can give a human being. He said, hey, I got trust in the Lord. Blessed Mother is very special to him. So he took the test. And he said, come back. They said, come back in about 6 months and we'll redo the test. But if you feel bad, come back sooner. And he's been feeling pretty good. Well, Monday of this past week, he went for the test. Tuesday, the day that I had my accident, at 10:30 at night, he went Tuesday for the test. The day I had my accident, and I put it in the Lord's hands. I said, Lord, and again, I'm not here to impress anybody, but this is my faith and my family. I told the Lord, I said, Lord, if my ministry is done, so be it. But all I ask is that you let my brother live. He called me on Wednesday. They were already on their way to Branson, Missouri. He said, Jim, thank you. I'm totally free of cancer. It's completely gone. There's not a cancerous cell in his whole body. That's a miracle, girls and guys. If you believe and trust me. I've got everything under control. Those are Jesus' words for you. And your vocation, answer your vocation. You might think it's the priesthood, and maybe it's not. He was in our seminary, up into the novitiate. But it wasn't for him. But he tried, and he knew. So he's happy and got a lovely family, and the Lord's walked with him. What does he do for his faith? He goes to church all the time, but he reads the Bible every year. From January 1, by the end of December, he's completed it. January 1 he reads the entire Bible, Old and New Testament. He's not a Bible thumper as they call me, standing on a corner and preaching Scripture. No. Believe me, though, he knows it. He knows it. And he's a good example of what it means to be a family, in my mind, Catholic family. So, does that answer your question about baseball? Oh, could I hit? Yeah, I used, as a pitcher, I was left-handed. And my average was about 335. When I didn't pitch, I played first base. So I got to play every game. But I enjoyed it. And like I said, I wouldn't have the Lord change my life for anything. I'm very happy at what I'm doing. I get my crosses like everybody else does, because you see, I'm still human. All the priests, Father Kevin, Clem, all of us, we all need your prayer. And that's about it. I hope I've hit you with something, and say a prayer for me. Are there any other questions? Oh, yes, sir. How old do you think I am? You're not going to offend me. Whoa. I'll be 69 in December. But see, I was born before God. Before Jesus. I'm older. Because see, Jesus was born on what day? December? I was born on December 20th. So, trust me, I'm just kidding. I don't tell him what to do. He tells me. But I've been a priest. Next to all those priests you saw up there this morning are much younger than I. A couple of them have only been ordained for 4 years. Father Clem, I think it's 9 years. Father Kevin is what? 28 years. I've been ordained come this past May 39 years. But I still look like Elvis, don't I, girls? But no, good questions. Good question. Yes, ma'am. Did he have what? Oh, no. He's completely cured, honey. You could sit right next to him. He's just as healthy as you and I. But one thing I meant to mention is that when he was, the final thing that scared the doctors, thought that he might not make it. Has anybody ever heard of the disease, if I pronounce it right, the Smith-Jefferson disease? What you do, your whole body literally becomes like blisters. You burn yourself and you got water blisters. His whole body turned into like a water blisters. He looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy, swelled up, and my sister-in-law said it was ugly. And the only way he knew it at first before he got to that point is he got out of bed to go take a shower, and he put his foot on the carpet in the hospital, and the bottom part of his skin, the foot just stayed behind on the carpet. And he took another, and the other foot come off. So he got back in bed, and they called the doctors, and they come in, and he had that disease. And as far as I know, what they told him, the doctors told him after he was cured, he said, Jerry, God just didn't want you. You're one of our miracle cures. And he says, you get this disease. Cancer can kill you real quick, but you get this disease. There's only about 1 to 0.2% that live through that. It's a real killer disease. And see, having the cancer, then this was the result of his immune system being down so low. But what they do is they take out your good stem cells. That might be interesting. They take out your good stem cells, the non-cancerous ones, and they keep them in a cooler. Then they take you down to this level where you have no immune system, and get rid of all the cancerous cells. And then over a period of 3 to 4 or 5 weeks, they start injecting back in your good stem cells. And with that and special drugs, that builds your system back up. See, where a lot of people die from this treatment is not because of the fact that the cancer itself killed them, but their kidneys gave out, because it affects every one of your organs, kidneys, lungs, everything. But he's one of the survivors, so keep in your prayers. His name is Jerry, and he's doing a bang-up job. they want him to go around and start talking on sort of a circuit in the St. Louis area about cancer, and you can live through it, you know. The thing of it is don't wait till you feel real sick. Have it checked out. You'd be surprised how many people are survivors because they did something about it. So you all have a good fest. Pray for me, and you can be sure that I will be praying for you. In room 124, if it's not confession, if you just want to come and talk.
Thank Father Jim, please, folks.